a good foundation, strong and sound, anchored on some solid ground. I will help you learn to fly to the future, soaring high. I'll be glad to pass along the greatest gifts of all. This song is called Roots and Wings, and I used to attend regularly SUSI, which is the Southeastern Unitarian Universalist Summer Institute in North Carolina, Virginia and North Carolina. And there was a favorite musician there named Pete Leary. And one year, the theme for the week was Roots and Wings. And so he wrote this song for the Institute that summer. Everyone needs solid ground to stand on. We all need a sense of where our world has been. Permission and encouragement to stretch ourselves and fly, to realize all that we can be. I will give you roots and wings. They're the most important things. A good foundation, strong and sound, anchored on some solid ground. I will help you learn to fly to the future, soaring high. I'll be glad to pass along the greatest gift of all.
Good morning and welcome. Welcome to our spiritual home, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. Our church is located here in the heart of the walkable Tarpon Springs Historic District and is known as the home of the Innes paintings. I am the Reverend Kristina Spaude, minister of this congregation, and I am serving as your worship associate today. We are a church of many welcomes, and we offer a warm welcome to all who have joined us. If you are here in the building, we encourage you to take some time following the service to meet your friends on Zoom in the forum room. This is a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. As such, ours is an active church, and everyone is invited to participate in all of our activities, whether you are a member or not. To learn more about events, our church calendar is on our website at uutarpon.org, or you can discuss activities with church members or our membership chair, who will contact you if we have your information. For those of you who are here in the building, we do have connection cards in the pews near the hymnals. If you fill one out and put one in the offering plate or give it to one of our ushers or greeters, we will be able to keep in touch with you. Bonnie will be singing throughout the service, and you are welcome to sing along, wearing your masks, to the songs and hymns as you so choose. Bonnie is our exceptionally talented music director. We are delighted also to have this service today offered by Judy Pickett. Lay-led services are a long-standing tradition in our faith, and we are grateful to her for preparing this one for you. This morning, we light our chalice with these words from my colleague, Dawn Cooley. We light our chalice this morning grateful for the love that we experience in this beloved community. May the flame light the way for all who seek such abundance.
This song is called the Bee Song, and it's a novelty song from 1947, part of our beautiful music today. Oh, what a wonderful thing to be, a healthy, grown-up, busy, busy bee, whirling away all the passing hours, pinching all the pollen from the cauliflowers. I like to be a busy, busy bee, busy just as busy as a bee can be, flying round the garden, bright as ever seen, taking back the honey to the dear old queen. Bizz, 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 honeybee, bizz if you like, but don't sting me. Bizz, 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 honeybee, bizz if you like, but don't sting me. Oh, what a wonderful thing to be, a healthy, grown-up, busy, busy bee, toying with the tulips, tasting every type, building up the honeycomb that looks like tripe. I like to be a busy, busy bee, being just as busy as a bee can be, flirting with the butterflies strung upon the wing. Whoopee, oh death, where is thy sting? Bizz, 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 honeybee, bizz if you like, but don't sting me. Bizz, 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 honeybee, bizz if you like, but don't sting me.
That was great. Good morning. This morning I'm going to read you a story for all ages. It's called Aspen's Roots by Paul Sullivan. In the cool of the forest, amidst melting snow, an aspen, the sapling, began to grow, with beautiful white bark and lovely green leaves that spun to and fro in the slightest of the breeze. Her family was near, though she wasn't aware of the effort they'd made so she could be there. Leaves counting millions had nurtured the soil. Generations of roots through the hard ground did toil. Her slender young body showed no signs of strife, while scarred trunks around her told stories of life. They gave through the years as they reached for the sky. Some could prosper, others would die. Aspen was happy. Her life was good. Each day was an adventure. She experienced all that she could. As springtime progressed, the flowers below, pink, blue, and yellow, put on their show. Aspen bathed in the warm summer sun. One day, the wind had a terrible chill. Leaves fell like rain and covered the hill. I feel like a stick. I look rather bad. I miss all my leaves. She began to feel sad. As winter set in with all of its snow, little twig aspen began to sink low. The snow piled deep, covering our friend, but our story had just started. She had not reached the end. With nothing to see, no nourishing meal, it was a season to think, a quiet time to feel. She reached deep inside, her roots let her know, it's time for you to rest. you need to grow. So while Aspen slept through long winter nights, her dreams were of growing, of reaching new heights. She thought on the tall trees that reached to the sky. They must be related. Will I tower so high? I wonder how old the biggest tree. Did she start out small as a sapling like me? With focus inside in the dark and the cold, her network of roots began to unfold. They let her feel the trees that were near. Common root connections became increasingly clear. Down the valley, all the way to the stream, her relations expanded to a big Quakie team. Connections continued to the top of the hill. The more she reached, the more she could feel. Aunts and grandmas, grandpas and cousins. Relations expanded to the dozens and dozens. She felt their love. She felt their concern. They have given her much. I will in return. I'm not alone. It's not just me. I'm part of a family, a big family tree. My roots aren't just mine. They connect to us all. They give us the ability to grow straight and tall. My family's support has met all my needs. The scarred trunks around me tell of great deeds. My grandmother's grandmother gave me my bark. All of my ancestors have left me their mark. Aspen became thankful for water, soil, and sun, for each new day, for what others had done. When the warmth of the new spring finally melted the snow, a much better aspen started to grow. A life of service was Aspen's new song. It's what's below the surface that really makes us strong. I gave Jami, who does our children's program, the book from which I just read, and she's sharing it with the children who are here today. So we're building new trees in our grove of aspens.
A few weeks ago, Reverend Kristina did a sermon on the different kinds of masks, and I played this masquerade, but today it'll be even more beautiful because Peter Grace is joining me.
Now is the time in our service where we take the offering for the work and welfare of this church. Ours is a free faith, and for it to remain so, the church is also self-sustaining financially. Please go to our website if you are not in the building at this time at uutarpon.org and click on the donate button, or you can always mail your offerings to the church at 57 Reed Street, Tarpon Springs, Florida, 34689. The offering will now gratefully be given and received.
In 1913, Joyce Kilmer wrote the poem Trees, and in 1922, Oscar Rosbach wrote music to the poem.
Good morning. My name is Judy Lucarelli. You all know me as the treasurer, but I'm also a person. You might not think so if you don't get your pledge envelope in on time, but no. During our stewardship campaign, which goes for 5 Sundays this year, each week a member is going to talk about what being part of this church means to us. My forebears were New England Unitarians or Universalists for generations, including 3 great-grandfathers who were lifelong Unitarians. The 4th was a Quaker. He became, I'm not sure if it was a U or a U, but he changed because of his family's love for music. And if you're new today, wait till you see what Bonnie wears on her head next week. I was raised a Unitarian, and I have to say, in high school, was highly indignant when the United Church of Christ, the UCC, it was the conglomeration of Protestant churches, voted that we were not Christians. How could someone else at a meeting vote about what my beliefs were? So I was a good teenager. John and I picked out the Unitarian Universalist minister who would marry us, And then that church in Meriden, Connecticut, ran the minister out for allowing soldiers sanctuary during the Vietnam War in the church in the late 1960s. So we had to find someone else to marry us in 1970. Decades later, my career as a school superintendent meant that we moved around a lot. The average duration for superintendents is about 2 to 3 years in one job. We went to the UU Church in Rochester, New York, Frankfort, Kentucky, and Brunswick, Westbrook, Portland, and Belfast, Maine. But being constantly on the move, we did not join any of these fine churches. When we moved to Tarpon Springs, we found this church, a lovely old building, which is not always the case with UU, and lovely old members. We got to know a few people better than others by playing bocce at Rod's. We got involved in caring for the new gardens and creating Marty's butterfly garden. We loved the music and were about ready to join the choir when the pandemic overtook us. And we joined this church, our first time we joined a church in our 51 years of marriage. When we joined, we were in the Walton Center, recognized as new members the same day as Jean and Charlie. And as Bonnie performed the Carole King song last week, we felt as if we were being welcomed home. Over the past 20 months, we have hung on, remembering those few months we had in our beautiful church. As treasurer and trustee, I did everything I could to keep things moving forward so we would have a church to come back to. And now we are back. Except, unlike shutting down, which happened very quickly, reopening will take us weeks and months as we make sure we are all safe. So, dear friends, hang on a little longer. We will get through this because we are stronger together than alone. Please pick up your pledge packet in the social hall after church today. I will collect all the packets not picked up today, and tomorrow I will mail them. So if you forget to take it home with you, or you're not here, or you're watching at home, you'll get your packet. I look forward to receiving lots of pledge forms over the next month. Thanks very much for your continuing support.
Thank you, Judy. Well done. You and I are kins. We decided she'd be Luke and I'd be Pick, so, because we interact a lot. So the service this morning is about nurturing our roots. When I moved to Tarpon Springs from Colorado over a year ago, I pulled up the roots I'd planted there, and I'd nurtured them well, and set down new roots here. It was not an easy transition, and I was quite anxious about making such a huge decision to move. In Colorado, I had a wide circle of friends, 2 of my children and my wonderful grandson, Isaac, my husband Billy's daughter, and her family. But when Billy passed away, the roots were not stronger than the lure of living near my 3 sisters here. And so I moved. It wasn't long before I connected with this church and my friend Barbara Castrevo. She had the lushest philodendron in her living room, and I asked her if she would give me some cuttings from it. I'd had experience in the past with taking cuttings, putting the water in the stems, but I also know from experience that the water needed refreshing every other day so that the nourishment the roots needed, oxygen, was replenished. So I diligently tended the roots, and I was rewarded with enough rooted leaves to plant them in dirt to continue their growing life. Now I have a beautiful plant, Thank you, Barbara. Interesting thing roots are. Just think about them. We've got botanical roots, genealogical roots, mathematical roots, right, Craig? How rooted are you in your life today? What do you do to nurture those roots? When is it time to split a plant that has become root-bound? When I lived in Colorado, I was fascinated with aspen trees. One spring day, my son John, whom some of you met last week, drove me up Trail Ridge Road in the Rocky Mountain National Park. We rounded a curve, and there they were, a stand of quaking aspens showing off their exquisite, breathtaking spring green. I was enchanted. And then, being the curious sort that I am, I started learning about all things aspen, and my enchantment took new directions. I was inspired to hear that their amazing longevity, 80,000 years. There are some root systems that are 80,000 years old. I was stunned to know that they live in a community with a mass of tangled roots supporting each other. Clearly, aspens were well loved in Colorado. And what's not to love about them? Each aspen stands tall with its own uniqueness. The patterns on its bark, the branching at its crown, the lichens and the scars that mark its life. Each aspen stands tall in a group that is all the same organism, all the same tree, with many different trunks. Each aspen is rooted in place with a common root system that is shared by the entire grove. And when older aspen die off, fresh new growth is generated. And the aspen grove lives on and on and on. Each aspen does its part to nourish the whole. The leaves create food that nourishes the roots, so the community holds strong. Susan Brock wrote a lovely poem about aspens. Aspen trees. Leaves that giggle and whisper secrets between sisters. Leaves quiver and quake, sprinkling fairy magic. Leaves dance and sway, reminders to play. Leaves woven and bound, make a hero's crown. Roots connected and entwined, many as one combined. Trunks side by side. Family pride. You see where I'm going? We are a strong, vibrant, and healthy grove of aspens. Each of us has deep roots in our church and Unitarian Universalism. Just imagine the roots that were planted here 136 years ago by Universalists who had the vision to start the Church of the Good Shepherd. Over the years, generations of liberal folks like us became stewards of the faith. The first church burned down. They rebuilt. We had a major hurricane hit and blew out these lovely windows. We covered them with beautiful Innes paintings. We had a devastating sinkhole. We rebuilt. The passion and commitment of our members nourished our roots and kept our tree, our church, alive and flourishing. For over 30 years, I belonged to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Dayton, Ohio. It started by a group of disgruntled people who took issue with the message and direction of the Unitarian church they belonged to. These adventurous, pioneering folks agreed to start another Unitarian church that would be more compatible with their image of what a Unitarian church should be. Sometimes church members have these kind of disagreements, and through reconciliation, these disagreements can be reconciled. Sometimes they can't, and they weren't. It took them several years, but they succeeded. After meeting in their homes and in rented space, they found an old Lutheran church that was for sale and decided to purchase it. They were not by any means wealthy people, but they did have the passion and commitment to buy the building. They had a vision. Each family took out second mortgages on their homes. They pooled their money, not asking to be reimbursed, and bought the building. In the early days, they were a fellowship by intention. They did not want a minister and all that entailed. They were pioneers and wanted to do everything themselves. But as they grew, so did the idea of getting a minister. So they ponied up the funds and got one. Interestingly enough, 50 years later, the church from which they split fell on hard times. With dwindling membership and a crumbling building, the remaining members sold their house of worship and merged with the upstart church. One tree's roots floundering, another tree flourishing. I can't ignore the significance of today, and I look around and it's confirmed behind me, in front of me. It's All Hallows Eve. Close your eyes and reach back into your memory banks and see yourself as a child, all dressed up in your costumes, knocking on every door in your neighborhood saying, trick or treat, give me something good to eat. Did you ever play a trick when you didn't get a treat? Were you a ghost or a witch? Were you a princess or a pirate? Or maybe you were a scarecrow. Did you eat all of the treats while walking around? Did you trade treats with friends? Did you bring all your treats home and savor them over the next week? Wasn't that a magical time? Halloween is about two T's, trick and treat. But today I want to talk about three T's. These are the trifecta of stewardship. Stewardship is about taking care of something we value and enabling it to grow. When we become stewards, we take responsibility and contribute our time, talent, and treasure. Time. We give of our time to nurture the health and welfare of our church, be it as a board member, or committee member, or chair, as an engaged member or friend. We take the time to support and enrich the lives of others. Look around and see the people who have contributed countless hours making our campus beautiful, who ensure that our building is maintained, and thank them. Talent. We give of our talents to create meaningful worship services, multi-platform Sunday experiences, creating an environment that nurtures our presence in our faith community and the community at large. Look around and see the people who have given of their talents and thank them. Treasure. We give of our treasures to essentially put our money where our mouths are. Be it an annual pledge, a one-time gift, or maybe even a legacy gift. Look around and see the people who generously have contributed to making sure that our vision and mission are fulfilled, and thank them. And don't forget to give yourself a big thank you. Stewardship is a spiritual issue. The issue for us is not simply how we give more money to the church, but rather how we use all of our resources at our command to craft lives of meaningful purpose. We have the money to give. This means that resources for every program you may dream up, to bring on the best staff you can imagine, to do more social justice than you thought possible, the most spectacular outreach in the larger community is all right here in our congregation. Ask and ye shall receive. This is one of the hardest things for some people who are in the pledge committee. I have to ask them for money. We do not exclude anyone who may not have the ability to pledge at a high level. That is important. We need to include everyone. But we also include those who could be pledging more. Giving is not a logical decision. It's an emotional one. Abundant giving is about inspiration and lives being transformed through challenge to live a different, more values-centered life. Unitarian Universalism is at the heart of our lives. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs is at the heart of our lives. May our giving reflect those truths. Now, you cannot miss this beautiful poster that shows an impressionistic image of an aspen grove with its supporting roots. We'll be using this to measure the progress of our generous gifts you may give. After today, it will be in the social hall, so check it out each Sunday and see how well we're doing. And as they say on NPR when they're ending their pledge drive or at the end of an hour, they always say, and thank you. Thank you.
Our hymn today is hymn number 38 in your gray hymnal. Morning has broken. Number 38.
Our closing words come from Jean Harrison Newyar, who has written in The Gift of Faith. In the lore of ancient China, there is a story of a philosopher who was asked, "Where is the road called hope?" He replied, "It does not exist, but as people move forward upon it, it comes into being." I invite you to continue moving forward on this path, nurturing our roots together with me. Bonnie will now lead us in Spirit of Life, number 123 in the gray hymnal. We extinguish our chalice this week with these words from Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. A few announcements. Please feel free to stop by in the forum room following the service to greet your friends who are joining us again on Zoom this week. We look forward to spending time together. In order to resume coffee hour after services, we are asking for volunteers to help and also need help on Sunday mornings before and after the service. Please contact Barbara Rosen, Jane Neal, or the associate for the day to let us know that you can help with Sunday mornings. We ask that people continue to wear masks all times when they are in the buildings and even outdoors. And also, do not forget to pick up your pledge packets in the social hall on your way out. Thank you so much for coming today. I look forward to seeing each of you.
Our postlude today is a parody on the song Let It Be. And that's why Peter is dressed up as a beetle. And in order to write this, I checked out a book from my school library. And so the parody is rather informative about bees. When I find myself among the flowers, rich with pollen, nectar sweet, I tell my working sisters, let it be. We drink the nectar from the blossoms, pollen powder on our legs. We fly back to the hive, 'cause we are bees. Morning light, warm and bright, in the trees, honey bees. We protect the queen, 'cause we are bees. Harvest home, honeycomb, shape the wax, seal the cracks. We make a lot of honey, we are bees. And when the nights are chilly, honey bees all cluster very close. We buzz until the morning, we are bees. Daylight comes upon us, we begin again to do our work. We fly to find the flowers, bees. We protect the queen 'cause we are bees. Harvest home, honeycomb, shape the wax, seal the cracks. We make a lot of honey, we are bees. Workers, drones, and one nice queen, we live together thousands strong. Now winter's coming quickly,